There are so many different places and different climates here in Costa Rica that there's really something for everyone.
Life is better for me outside in nature, in the fresh air, with a beautiful community. So we need to follow our bliss, right? Life is all about doing what feels good.
Hello, I'm Bekah, International Living's Costa Rica correspondent, and this is why I moved to Playa Tamarindo in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Like the sign says, this is a place where the worlds come together. It's super multicultural. We have lots of people from Costa Rica and also from the United States, Canada, Italy, and Argentina. Those are the biggest populations in my opinion. I've been coming to Costa Rica since 1997 when I first arrived as an exchange student. I had such a wonderful experience. I enjoyed traveling around the country, and I had the best host family that really just took me in. I found a group of friends that I just really felt accepted in a new culture, and that was such an amazing feeling, and I just wanted to keep coming back and back. I was always in search of a slower life, a beach life, a tropical life. When I was looking at universities, I'm originally from Connecticut, but I went to school in Florida. And my mom always jokes how I was only happy once I started seeing palm trees on the campus. I think this area is really popular with not only retirees these days, because to be honest, the world is changing. Right? It's not just people who are retired that are traveling and moving abroad. A lot of families are also doing it. Now, some decide to travel abroad for a year and some end up staying for 5 or 6 years. It really is just an experience that I find a lot of people want to give their family so that they can live outside more, spend more time together in nature, and just have a better connection in general. Now, there's a lot of visa options when you come to Costa Rica. You can invest in the country, and that's only a $150,000 investment. Or you can come on a tourist visa and check it out. Now you get 180 days, well, up to 180 days. It always depends on what the immigration agent stamps in your passport. And that recently changed. It used to only be 3 months, so now you get the 6 months, which is really nice, especially for those snowbirds who like to come down from Canada. When people first arrive in Costa Rica, it's important to really try to do a lot of research and figure out what area is best for you. There are so many different places and different climates here in Costa Rica that there's really something for everyone. For me, like I said, I was always a tropical beach person. I prefer the Guanacaste area because it's the driest area of Costa Rica. We basically have 5 to 6 months of rain and 5 or 6 months of dry season. Now, the rain here, it's not every day. It's usually a couple hours or during the night. The rainiest months are usually September and October. And just when you can't handle the rain anymore, right? Because everything does get wet. Some things get moldy in my house. I don't use air conditioning all the time, so that's one of the reasons. Then it changes. So you can see in the videos here, there's a big difference, right? This first rain is when everything's dry, the ground is just brown. And then when green season pops, right? Everything is green and lush and vibrant, and I just love it. As for speaking Spanish, I believe it's really beneficial to speak the language of the country that you're in, because then you're able to really make connections with the locals. And that's why I fell in love with Costa Rica. I consider the beach area as kind of like a bubble, and the Central Valley as like the real Costa Rica to me. That's where I fell in love with the country. That's where I fell in love with the Tico culture and the people. So it's not like you can't get by without speaking Spanish, okay? I have a lot of friends who don't speak Spanish. It's just a nice way to really be part of the country, in my opinion. The cost of living in Costa Rica. In my opinion, you really have a lot of options. It just depends on your lifestyle. This is such a broad topic. It's really hard to say that this is how much you're gonna spend. I've spoken with a retired couple who spend about $2,800 a month here living in Tamarindo. Now, when you have kids, it's more expensive. I would say, especially if you're going to private school, the minimum is about $5,000 a month, but I know people that spend up to $8,000 a month. Schools in this area can get kind of expensive, in my opinion. They range from $500 a month to almost $1,000 a month. In other parts of Costa Rica, you can find different prices. I would say in the Central Valley, you have more options that are a bit more affordable. So you could find schools from maybe the $200 a month to $1,000 a month. Shopping and groceries, in my opinion, are expensive everywhere, right? We've really seen an increase in prices these last few years. I would say with my children, I have 2 children, they're teenagers, and myself, that we spend about $1,000 a month on groceries. I bought land back in 2012 here near Tamarindo and Villarreal and built my house. Building is quite a process. It's really important to have someone that you trust that's kind of overseeing the whole process. You really need to be on the ground and there regularly to make sure everything's going to plan. I've had my mortgage for 10 years, so I am halfway through my mortgage. My house is on a lot that's 250 square meters, so it's just under 2,700 square feet. I have 3 bedrooms in my house and 2 baths. I love having a bathtub because that's not always popular here in Costa Rica. I love gardening. I have a banana tree, an orange tree, and papayas growing in my yard.
I really love being outside and I enjoy gardening. I'm starting to get a real green thumb these days. So have you ever seen a pineapple growing? So what you can do is you can cut off the top of the pineapple and put the bottom part in water so that it roots. And then once it's about, kind of like this, they're nice and long and strong, then you can plant it. So the pineapple takes about a year to grow. Can you imagine? Isn't that crazy? It's a long time. There's a lot of construction going on in my community. They just finished these 2 houses and they're on the market for $340,000, 2 miles away from the beach. So the nice part about being in Tamarindo and staying in Tamarindo is that you can get everywhere by walking.
There are taxis in the area and even Ubers. Uber is becoming more popular in the Guanacaste area. There are buses. The bus system in the Central Valley is great. It's easy to get around. It's consistent. Here in Guanacaste, it's not as regular. For example, if I want to take a bus from Liberia or to Santa Cruz, which is another city close to us, the buses go every hour, every 90 minutes. So if you miss one, you have to wait a long time. Traveling within Costa Rica is really easy when you fly Sansa, which is the domestic airline. I love going to San Jose that way because it's only 40 minutes. Now, the small airplanes kind of make me a little nervous. When I think about how fast it is, it's totally worth it. As a national, right, a lot of times you can get discounts once you have your residency. You're considered like a national here, and you can get better prices on hotels and also on Sansa. So it costs $90 each way, more or less. Internationally, you have 2 options. You can fly into Liberia, which is in Guanacaste. And from my house in Villarreal, it's about an hour and 20 minutes without traffic. You can also fly into San Jose. Now, going into the Central Valley from Guanacaste, from the Tamarindo area, can be a little tricky depending on the time you're going. Really, it can take anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. I love the location of Tamarindo because it's centrally located, right? We have a lot of beaches around us. To the north, we have like Flamingo and Conchal, and to the south, Avellanas and Negra. Now we also have Playa Junquial, which is really cool because they have a turtle protection project there, and you can go and see that eggs that they collect on the beach, they keep them in a hatchery, and then when the time comes, they release the babies back into the ocean. Olive Ridley turtles are in Playa Ostianal, which is about a 2-hour drive from my house, and you get to see them laying the eggs on the beach. It's a national park, so you go with a guide, and then you can return about 50 days later and see the eggs hatching. It's pretty impressive. There are sometimes like 50,000 turtles on the beach. We're also close to other places, right? There's like different climates that are around us. It's under a 3-hour drive. So I love going to like Bijagua, which is kind of near Rio Celeste, which is a national park for Volcán Tenorio, the volcano, one of the many volcanoes in Costa Rica. And I love going to a place called La Carolina Lodge. You get to see lots of nature. We were there last weekend and we saw a sloth and a toucan. And it's always just a different kind of environment from the beach. So it's a nice place to get away for a couple of days. Now we can also go near Rincón de la Vieja, which is on the other side of Liberia. And I love going to La Leona waterfall there. There's like an adventure hike to get to it. You swim in this really beautiful turquoise water. You can also go to Pozo Los Coyotes. That one, you don't have to do a hike to get to. It has easier access right from the parking lot. So those are some of my favorite things to do in the area when I'm looking for something different than the beach. The infrastructure for like digital nomads is really good in this area. I work online and I have optical fiber internet, and when my internet goes out, I can usually use my phone as a backup. Mail, there's a lot of ways. You can get post office boxes in Miami and have things sent to you that way, which I know a lot of people do that. You can get Amazon here. The problem is the taxes. There's a high import tax. So some things, it's just gonna like almost double the price of the product because of the import taxes. So I prefer to have my friends that come and visit, mule things down when I need them. And when I go back to the States, I do most of my shopping. Let's talk about healthcare in Costa Rica. Once you're a resident, you have to pay into the Caja system. So that's the socialized medicine. Now, I like to use the best of both worlds. I use the Caja for regular checkups, like when I have to go to the yearly exam to the gynecologist, or to get things like vaccines, like I need to get a new tetanus shot. So I'll go into the ABAIS, which is the local clinic. Now, if we're sick, we usually go to our private doctor just because we don't want to wait in line in the morning. Sometimes when you do go to the ABAIS, to the local clinic, you have to get there early and wait in line to get an appointment, and you may or may not get one. So we usually go to our private doctor, and that's about $40-$45 for a visit. Living in a new country means that we get to experience a different culture. Every town has its yearly fiestas. Villarreal has 2 of them. So you get a bunch of local food, you get to see people riding bulls. For Independence Day in September, we have lots of parades. It's so beautiful to see everyone in their traditional clothing.
I'm here in Tamarindo in the Rotonda at my favorite restaurant, Nogi's. It has seating right on the beach. I come here usually every Friday, and I like to enjoy its happy hour from 4:30 to 5:30, 2-for-1 specials.
Love the different foods here in Costa Rica. So when you're on the beach, maybe someone's selling ceviche, fresh ceviche that you can get, or the granizados, or the type of snow cones we have here, which are my children's favorite. Lots of tropical fruit like mamon chinos. It's the season right now in August. We love eating those. I like going to typical restaurants. This is my favorite restaurant right here. It's in Villarreal, and we usually get casados there. Casado is the national dish with rice, beans, some kind of salad, and some kind of meats. And everyone loves churros, right? If you're thinking about coming to Costa Rica, I really suggest a scouting trip so you can check out different areas and see what feels good, right? What is right for you. Everyone has their own ideas of what they need in life. What I find most talking with people is you just feel when it's right for you, right? Which is awesome because everyone tells me that, and I agree with it. That's what I knew when I was deciding on Tamarindo. It just felt right. If you have a young family, you have kids, I would check out different schools. I would start talking on some Facebook pages. I use Facebook groups for a lot of my research to get a lot of contacts and just to, ask questions and find out information.
It was so much fun sharing with you. I am so grateful for the life I've created for myself here in Playa Tamarindo. If you're ever in the area, come check it out and send me a message. If you have any questions, I love helping other people figure out where the best place for them is here in Costa Rica. Life is better for me outside in nature, in the fresh air, with a beautiful community. So we need to follow our bliss, right? Life is all about doing what feels good. And I hope that you find your special place in this world. Pura vida!